Manchester United somehow get away with yet another 1-0 win at Old Trafford. A dubious 1-0 win, really, you've got to be said. A win that we didn't really deserve. But in cup competitions, it's all about getting through to the next round. So that's the one major positive from this game, is that we are through to play Middlesbrough in the fourth round. And it's a home draw as well, so you'd hope we get through that. Although the way we're playing right now, there really is no promises that can be made about United getting through any game. But before we get into it as well, please do, if you're watching, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel as well if you do enjoy this sort of content. And also leave your thoughts if you're watching on the replay in the comment section down below. I do read all your comments, so please do leave your thoughts down there and we can have a conversation, even if you're not watching live. I see Diego's just joined as well. Palace fan, thanks for joining. Appreciate it, congratulations. I had no part in it, but I'll take the congratulations anyway. But yeah, the performance doesn't really warrant any sort of praise, but the result in terms of going through to the next round is the major positive, really. Apart from that, slim pickings, really. Slim pickings. Scott Mctominay, I thought, actually didn't play too badly. He took his goal really well. Our top goal scorer, I believe, as well in 2022. So that's something that hopefully bodes well, maybe, is Scott McTominay's performances. He can keep it up, and whether really he can get any sort of consistency, because it seems like as a midfield player, he's still the same going forward. He's what we saw against Leeds United last season, absolutely ruthless in front of goal. Maybe the whole time, but obviously I digress on that one. Matthew's joined us, says he has no idea how we've won. Agree, to be fair, I have to agree. Not usual that I agree with Matthew, but I have to agree with him on that one. I think, it was a crazy game in terms of the way it panned out and the fact that it only ended 1-0. Villa obviously had two goals that were, in my opinion, rightly ruled out by VAR, but in the end of the day, they should have taken the chances they got. I think in the first half, especially around the 30th minute, they swarmed us completely. They were all over us in the final third, and we struggled to get any sort of quality, especially just keeping the ball. It was something we saw against Wolves in our last game, was our inability to keep the ball for more than 2 or 3 passes. And it seems like whenever a team puts any sort of press, it doesn't even have to be a quality press, just any sort of press whatsoever, we do crumble under the pressure. And maybe that's because we don't have the midfield players. Maybe it's just because we're low on confidence right now. I don't know what it is, but we seem so poor right now, and even worse than we were under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I was led to believe he was the major problem at the club. And listen, I'm not suggesting for 1 second that we played amazing football under Ollie, especially towards the end. I do think it was the right decision to relieve him of his duties. But right now, we are not seeing the performances that we thought we'd see, and that is definitely clear to see. Adam, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it. Can't stay tonight. Don't worry about it. The fact you're here anyway is brilliant to join as well. Appreciate it. He says Greenwood and Rashford should have been subbed out. Yeah, we'll get on to Rashford's performance in a minute, because it is worrying, and it has been worrying me and probably a lot of United fans for the last few months, really, because since he's come back from injury, he's not been the same. In fact, you could potentially pinpoint his decline from when he missed that penalty in the Euros. Maybe that was just a big confidence knocker. I don't know what's happened to him, but since that moment, he's just not looked himself. And obviously, he's had the surgery and he's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But at the same time, you would have expected that by now he would have built up enough confidence after his surgery. He's come back from injury, had a bit of a run of games. You would expect by now he'd be back to his best, but we're just not seeing that from Rashford. And it is worrying, to be fair, because it seems like Rangnick does favour Rashford over the likes of, Sancho and these guys, even though obviously, Sancho wasn't available today. But it does seem that Rangnick, likes to play Rashford. And on his recent performances, I think, he probably needs some time out. I really, really do think he needs some time out. Matthew says, the quality on the ball was shocking. I don't know how a coach can fix that. I agree. I don't really know. I don't really know how we've got this bad, like how it's slipped to this, state, really. I don't really know, I don't understand how we can slip to these sort of standards, especially after what we saw against Crystal Palace when Rangnick first took over. I think we saw a huge improvement in that game, and I think it gave us a lot of positivity. But since that game, it's almost like we've just played well once and then just left it and said, all right, we've done our jobs, that's it, we can go back into old habits. But we've been punished, obviously, against Newcastle and against Wolves, and we were lucky not to be punished tonight. Simple as that. Aston Villa will be going back down to Birmingham with a lot of regret because they know that they should have won that game. It's not, the could have, it's not could have, it's should have. They missed some gilt-edged opportunities. They got unlucky with some of the decisions that didn't go their way. They'll be feeling massively aggrieved coming away from Old Trafford, and it does not bode well for our game at Villa Park on Saturday. It really, really doesn't, I've got to say. Diogo says Elanga and Lingard and Donny all did well when they came on. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I thought Elanga did alright when he came on for the last 5 minutes, although, again, how much you can really judge from a 5-minute stint is up for debate. I thought Van der Beek didn't play too badly. I didn't think he had a huge impact when he came on, but I didn't think he played that badly, and especially considering that he's better than what we've got. In the end of the day, yes, he didn't come on and start performing like, a prime Zidane, but he's definitely better than what we've got in that midfield, especially technically. Maybe he doesn't fit into Rangnick's system. Maybe we're waiting for a CDM to come in for Van der Beek to play. But the idea that right now, looking at those performances, and I think I said the same thing after the Wolves game, which again is a little bit worrying that we're not learning from the same mistakes. But the idea that Rangnick looks at that midfield performance tonight and doesn't see any place for Donny van der Beek, even just to try him for a game, even just to give him some game time, give him a run of games where he starts and give him a full 90 minutes. Because right now, the midfield is totally wrong. And it's going to be difficult to fix that, especially if it's down to individual player errors. I mean, that was the biggest thing today as well. I can forgive sometimes, players just, making a few mistakes. But when it's a mistake-filled 90 minutes, it's difficult to take. It really is difficult to take. Let's see. Matthew says, all the players coming out tweeting about the victory, we are truly finished. I mean, to be fair, it is a victory, and as I said, the only positive really is the fact that we won the game. And I know a lot of people will say, that's pretty obvious, that's a big positive, but realistically in cup football, getting through to the next round is all that matters. I mean, if we play like that and win the cup, no one's going to really care that we played the way we did. So in the end of the day, it's one of those games where it wasn't vintage, and I feel like, as I said, under Rangnick, we've been saying this quite a lot, that it wasn't vintage, but it's a win, and a win is what you want as a football fan. But you want to see a team play well and have some sort of positivity for the future. That's what Rangnick was meant to do when he came in. He was meant to implement a system, get these players playing a better brand of football, and, set it up for the next manager that comes in, whoever that may be. But right now, we're almost seeing less positives for the future. He kept Ollie in charge. I really do believe that. RB Comps, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Make sure to check out RB Comps. Brilliant stuff over there if you do like your Juventus content as well as your general football content, and brilliant montages and collages and things like that. Just brilliant videos over there. If you like football, you'll love RB Comps, so make sure you do check out his channel. Matthew also says McTominay got man of the match, but aside from the goal, he was pretty poor, I thought. Yeah, I thought he took his goal well, and obviously it was Fred and McTominay linking for the goal. It was a brilliant ball by Fred. I have to give him credit. It was a very, very good ball into the box. McTominay, brilliant movement, for the goal. But, I think that's the one thing with McTominay recently, is that his performances in the midfield, I think he wasn't too bad at breaking up play. But the one thing with McTominay is that on the ball, he just doesn't have the same sort of technical ability as a Van der Beek or Fernandes, even though Fernandes is another player that I'm worrying about because he is playing some awful football right now, Bruno Fernandes. And again, he's another one who has just declined rapidly for no apparent reason. There hasn't really been any sort of injury crisis with him. I don't really think he had any sort of COVID issues or anything like that which could have hampered his form. So again, Bruno Fernandes is someone who we've seen a massive decline from. out of nowhere, really. And that's the perplexing thing, is that, obviously, under Ollie, towards the end, we were playing some poor football, and individually, we were really poor. But, I think we all expected a little bit of a feel-good factor, at least, not just for one game against Palace, but, a feel-good factor that would last maybe, 7 or 8 games, similar to when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, took over from Jose Mourinho. We kind of thought that sort of thing would come, but it just hasn't. The opposite effect has happened, if anything. This is the sort of form and the sort of performances you would see from a team with a manager that's under pressure for his job. And Rangnick's only been here for, 6 or 7 games? And already we're seeing that sort of football. It is worrying. It's a worrying state of affairs, it's got to be said. But as I said, I don't want to get too negative really on this stream. We did win the game, and that's important to note. And obviously in the league, a win like this is, just the same, because obviously it's 3 points gained. But it feels almost like a bit of a robbery. That's just the way it feels. It's one of those wins where you can't too excited over it. Yes, you'll take the win, obviously, going into the game. Just as a football fan, you want your team to win the game. But, when you think about the game and think about analysing it, it's difficult to really look back on it with any sort of positivity, when you know that performing like that has no future, or no successful future anyway. If we continue to perform like this, we will get punished, especially by the better sides. So, in the end of the day, it's a win. And we've just got basically take that, and I'd say take the positives, but there wasn't really any positive. I thought De Gea didn't do too badly tonight. I thought he looked all right. Obviously McTominay did fairly okay in some aspects. Obviously got the all important goal, but apart from that, it was poor really all round. I thought defensively we looked shaky. Aston Villa, if they could finish, probably would have walked away with a 3-1 victory, and that's a fair reflection. That's not me, being over the top. I reckon really, if they could finish their chances, it's easy 3-1, potentially even 4-1. And obviously they got very unlucky with some of the decisions. I thought the one with what's his name, the guy that blocked Cavani, I think that was a little bit dubious. I do think, all in all, the right decision was made, but I think it was tight. I think, the one thing that probably saved us was the fact that, they felt that Cavani would have got back, which I'm not sure Cavani would have got back, really. So the idea that he was interfering with play is definitely up for debate. But obviously the decision was made, and we got lucky today. We got lucky with decisions. On another day, those decisions don't go our way. So we've got to count our lucky stars, really. Diego says, will Coutinho be available for Villa on Saturday? If so, the midfield battles will be key. I think he will. I don't know the full story, as I said. I'm not a Villa fan, and I haven't really done as much research into that, but I believe that Coutinho will be available for the game, which will be a massive boost for Villa, because obviously, even though he's maybe fallen off from what we saw at Liverpool and maybe Bayern Munich as well, and even Barcelona, when he scored a brilliant goal against us in their 3-0 win in the Nou Camp. But we haven't really seen the best of Coutinho, but he is still a quality operator, and I'm sure he'll hit the ground running for Aston Villa, and I think he'll look really good in that Aston Villa team as well. Yes, I thought they played really well tonight, but I think a player like Coutinho with the Champions League experience under his belt, he will stand out in that Villa team. He will stand out, so I'm sure it'll be a big signing for them, and I would not be surprised if he scored against us on Saturday as well. It seems like it's written in the stars for that sort of thing to happen. But we have to still play the game. But as I said, if we play like we did today, we have no hope. We really do have no hope, especially with the fact that Villa will be looking for revenge, and they'll be confident going into the game. Micah Richards said on the BBC Sport punditry that Villa will be confident going into that league game. There's no doubt about it. And in the end of the day, why wouldn't they be? They will go into that game almost feeling like the favourites, thinking we're going to be at home, we're going to create a raucous atmosphere, and it's going to be difficult for United to contend with, and we'll make sure that they don't get away with a win this time. And it's going to be backs against the wall stuff. I really do believe that. Dazza and Mo Salah join us. Thanks for joining, Dazza. Appreciate it. He says, God help me. Yeah, I think that pretty well sums up the mood and the performance, really. Mo Salah, Aren't you playing in the Africa Cup of Nations tomorrow, mate? Yeah, poor banter from myself. But furthermore, Aston Villa had more quality on the ball than us. Yeah, no question, mate. Absolutely no question. Yeah, I think there's nothing really more to add than that. That's a pretty sound statement. They just looked the better side, and as I said before, they will be reeling coming away from Old Trafford with the fact they didn't punish us. I mean, as I said earlier in the stream, they should have been at least 2-1 up, if not 3-1 up after that first half display. They were pounding on the door. De Gea made a few decent stops. Ollie Watkins hits the bar. We were so shambolic, and Aston Villa will be kicking themselves massively that they didn't make us pay for our mistakes and for our general lack of quality on the ball. And a better team like a Man City or a Liverpool, as we've already seen this season, makes that game look like a cakewalk. And that's the only thing that really does worry me about Rangnick, is that, since Rangnick's come in, we were expecting to be a lot more of a solid team, a lot more of a difficult team to beat, and just look a better footballing side. But I still believe that if we replayed the Liverpool game and replayed the City game, that the results would stay the exact same. I don't think we would have improved from a 5-0 defeat or a 2-0 defeat, which was made look very easy by Pep Guardiola's side that time. So I don't think we've really improved that much, and I don't know whether that's down to the players individually not being good enough, whether it's down to the manager, whether there's a mix of all of them. I think probably that's the most logical idea, but it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed, because if we've got any chance of top 4 this season, we have to be grinding out some sort of consistency. Rich has joined us. Thank you for joining, Rich. Appreciate it. If you want to go see his reactions to the game as it unfolded, make sure you check out his watch along on his channel. I will be checking it out after this as well. I haven't seen the reactions, but I'll be looking forward to watching it. So make sure, if you haven't already, check out the watch along he did on his channel throughout the game. And I'm sure he'll be doing a call-in show as well, which will be interesting to see what other United fans think about that game, which, as I said, will probably bring up a lot of good talking points. So make sure you go over there after this. And Dada says, play like that against Borough and Borough will win. You know what? I don't think you're far wrong there, mate. I really don't. In the end of the day, if we play like that against a League 2 side, I reckon if we play like that against Cambridge United, we get given a good game. So, it's one of those things where, as I said, the only positive from this game is the fact that we won it. And we just got to, we've just got to take that, really, and go with it. In the end of the day, we're staring down the barrel of a potentially difficult few months if we keep playing the way we are, especially, with the games we've got. And, the funny thing is when Rangnick was appointed, I think everyone looked at the run he had and kind of thought, you know what? No real top 6 teams in it. It's a very favourable run. If we can hit the ground running and put together a good run of performances, we can be right back up there for top 4. We could be, well in top 4. But it's actually proved to be the hardest run of fixtures we've had. I mean, we almost struggled less, when Ollie, against smaller teams, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge. Obviously, we lost to Watford 4-2, and maybe I just made that statement, because I was quick to forget what happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like much has changed, and that's something which does frustrate us and worries me, certainly. Yeah, Rich, I might call in. I might call in for a little bit, give my thoughts. As I said, I don't really have a load of thoughts on the game, other than that, we were poor, but we got the win. That pretty well sums it up. And it's a worry. It is a worrying sign. And obviously, we talk about Marcus Rashford's performances. I don't know what's happened to him, whether there is still an injury lingering there even after surgery. His performance has been shocking. Bruno Fernandes as well has not looked the same player as we saw at the start of the season. Even someone like Mason Greenwood, the shots he was having today, yes, he was getting into good areas for those shots, but they're just so tame. And it's weird, because one of Greenwood's trademarks when he first burst on the scene at Manchester United was his quick shot, his turn of pace, and the fact that every time he looked for that near post, he'd always nestle it in the corner, and keepers would always struggle against it. And now, all of his shots today, for example, straight down the throat of Martinez. It was, easy pickings for the keeper, really, to stop it. And that's not like Greenwood. Greenwood was billed as, obviously, by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as, the best finisher at the club. And we're not seeing that right now. And, It's frustrating really, because we know how good these players can be, and we've seen it under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But since Rangnick's come in, we just haven't seen the same team, which is frustrating. And yeah, it's difficult to know how we go about fixing this problem. We can talk about who we need to play, who needs to come in, who needs to sit on the bench, but at this point, I don't even think it's that much of a selection issue. I feel like, right now, the way we're playing, the attitudes we have on that pitch, you could put any lineup on there and we'd be just as bad. And it's a worry. It's a really, really big worry, because the last thing I want is to stay in this position and be playing in the Europa Conference League next season. How embarrassing would that be? We're not Spurs. We're Manchester United. We just got ourselves back into the Champions League, last year, and the idea of playing Conference League football, gives me the shakes. It really, really does. But yeah, as I said, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here. I feel like I've kind of given my points. In summary, Aston Villa, I think, probably deserved the win. In fact, they completely deserved the win, except they didn't get the win, and a lot of things didn't go their way. We were very fortunate to come away with the win and go through to the fourth round. We do have Borough, which unfortunately, Dazza, is a favourable draw for Manchester United. Although the way we're playing right now, I think it could be very, very even. But obviously on paper, you would expect Manchester United to go through. But football, of course, is not played on paper. It's played on the pitch. And right now, we are struggling in that department. And something needs to change. Some big changes need to be made. But we are through to the fourth round, and that's really what underpins this whole video, really, and this whole review of the game. But we can't play like that every week, and we can't play like that certainly on Saturday afternoon, because we'll be coming away with no points, and Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard will be the happier of the camps. But I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much for watching anyway. Really do appreciate it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below if you've been watching on the video. And also, make sure you hit that like button if you did enjoy the video tonight. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. And I'll see you for the Aston Villa preview. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in a bit. Make sure you remember to go over to Rich's channel for his call-in show. But until then, thank you for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys